My hand still tingled, a phantom burn from the sharp contact of my palm against her cheek. Yeah, I slapped a woman! In Hooters, no less. Before you jump to conclusions, let me tell you how a casual beer with a buddy turned into a full-blown confrontation that had the manager calling the cops. It was a scorcher, one of those miserable summer afternoons where the AC feels like a personal godsend. My friend Mark and I had snagged a booth at Hooters, good wings, cold beer, and honestly, a nice escape from the heat. I'd peeled off my flannel earlier, leaving me in just a dark tank top, which felt about right for the weather. I'd just come back from the restroom, weaving through the tables, trying to get back to Mark and our half-empty pitchers. That's when she materialized, a woman in her late 40s, early 50s maybe, with a face that looked perpetually annoyed. She was planted right in my path, arms crossed, eyeing me up and down. I thought she was waiting for someone, so I started to sidestep her. "Excuse me," she barked, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "You work here, right? I need a refill, and I've been waiting forever." I stopped, confused. No ma'am, I don't. Just a customer like you." I even gave a little shrug, trying to be polite. Her eyes narrowed. "Don't play dumb. I saw you walking around. Get me my Coors Light, and make it snappy." She gestured emphatically towards the bar. "Seriously, I don't work here," I repeated, a little more firmly now. "I'm just wearing a tank top. I took my flannel off because it's hot." I even gestured to my friend across the room like, "See? I have a table." She scoffed, a truly ugly sound. "Oh, I bet you took your flannel off. Trying to be cute, are we? Look, I'm not stupid. You're trying to avoid doing your job. You think you can just wander around, not help customers, and get away with it?" Her voice was getting louder, drawing a few glances. My face started to heat up, not from the weather now, but from annoyance. This woman was completely irrational. "Ma'am, I assure you I am not an employee. I'm just trying to get back to my table." I tried to move past her again, but she actually stepped into my path, blocking me. "Oh no you don't," she snapped, her face inches from mine. "You're not going anywhere until you get me my drink. What, is that how you hide your uniform? Under that wife beater?" She was practically spitting the words. Then, before I could even process what was happening, she reached out, her fingers digging into the fabric of my tank top, trying to pull it down, as if expecting to find a Hooters uniform shirt magically tucked underneath. That was it. The line wasn't just crossed, it was obliterated. Her touch, her aggression, her unhinged accusation, it all snapped something inside me. All the polite explanations, all the attempts to de-escalate, just vanished in a rush of pure, white-hot fury. My vision tunneled. Without a conscious thought, my hand shot out. Smack. The sound was shockingly loud, echoing over the restaurant's background hum. Her head snapped to the side and a stunned silence fell over our immediate area. For a split second, she looked utterly bewildered. Then her eyes went wide, and her hand flew to her stinging cheek. "You hit me, you bastard!" she shrieked, lunging forward, nails extended like claws. Before she could connect, a strong arm belonging to a very startled and very fast manager shot out, pinning her back. "Whoa, whoa, whoa, what in the hell is going on here?" he shouted, keeping her flailing arms away from me. I stood there, breathing heavily, adrenaline coursing through me so fast my limbs felt like jelly. I vaguely heard the manager calling the police, Karen screaming about assault, and me being a pathetic excuse for a man, and then the manager turning to me, his face a mixture of shock and anger. The details after that are a blur, honestly. It was a complete whiteout of rage and adrenaline. Later, after the police arrived and sorted through the chaotic stories, I learned the manager had actually seen most of it unfold. He corroborated that I had repeatedly told her I didn't work there, and that she had become aggressive and tried to grab me. I decided to press charges for assault and battery against her. Yeah, I hit her, but she physically assaulted me first and I reacted. I hope that woman, Karen or whatever her name is, learns a valuable lesson from this. You can't just bully and badger people, especially not to the point of physical contact, and expect no consequences. Sometimes, even when you're doing your best to be calm, someone else's sheer irrationality and aggression can push you past your breaking point. But honestly, if you find yourself in a similar spot, try to let the manager handle it before you slap anyone. Your adrenaline will thank you.
This next one had Reddit losing its mind. Quick pause, subscribe now, because the chaos doesn't stop here.
So picture this. I'm sitting in my car, practically vibrating with excitement. I've just snagged the last set of those specific ombre balloons for my party, paid for them, and I'm ready to get home, crank some tunes, and start transforming my place into a glitter-filled wonderland. It's maybe 7:55 p.m., the store closes at 8, and I'm just chilling in the parking lot for a hot second, admiring my haul. The day was going great, you know? Then, like a storm cloud on a sunny day, this woman materializes at my car window. I hadn't even seen her approach, too busy admiring my perfect party aesthetic. My window was cracked a bit, just enough to catch the cool evening air, but it was enough for her voice to cut through my post-shopping bliss. "Excuse me," she barked, her voice laced with an aggressive edge that immediately set my teeth on edge. "The store is closed." I slowly turned, confusion wrinkling my brow. She was standing there, arms crossed, staring daggers at me. Her whole posture just screamed, "I'm right and you're wrong." "Oh, no, ma'am, it's not," I replied, trying to be polite, trying to ignore the sudden tension in the air. "I literally just walked out of there, paid for my stuff. I'm just about to pull out." She scoffed, a truly dismissive sound. "Don't lie to me. The doors didn't open for me. It's closed." My eye twitched. Was she for real? I promise you it was open. It closes at 8 p.m., and it's just before 8. I mean, they're probably about to lock up, but I was just in there. I gestured vaguely at the store, which still had its lights on. She threw her hands up in exasperation. "It is not 8 o'clock yet. It's illegal to close early." Okay, now my polite facade was cracking. This was ridiculous. I didn't say it was 8, I said it's about 8. And I'm not an employee, ma'am. I'm just a customer like you. Or, well, like you were trying to be. Her eyes narrowed, scanning the mostly empty parking lot. There was my car. A couple of others further away, but mostly it was just us. "Oh, really? Then why is the parking lot empty, huh? You're clearly lying. You're trying to sneak out, aren't you? Just close the store and leave. You can't just tell people it's closed early." My jaw dropped. The sheer audacity. Are you actually serious right now? I literally just told you I'm a customer. I don't work here. And I'm certainly not sneaking out of anywhere. I'm leaving because I finished my shopping, not because I'm some rogue employee trying to pull an illegal early closing. The way she looked at me with such conviction, as if I was some mastermind behind a grand conspiracy to deny her party supplies, was baffling. She was still gesturing wildly at the empty lot, as if its emptiness was irrefutable proof of my deception. The absurdity of it all just boiled over. My patience, which was already threadbare after a long day, snapped. I leaned out the window a little more, fixed her with a stare, and just let it rip. The first thing that came to mind, a perfectly nonsensical, exasperated insult. "You know what? You're a FKN BANANA, ma'am," I exclaimed, practically shouting the last word. "I'm a customer, and I'm leaving." With that, I didn't even wait for her response. I slammed my window up, threw my car into reverse, and peeled out of that parking spot faster than you can say party foul. I left her standing there, probably still fuming about the illegal early closing and my utterly bizarre outburst. I just wanted my party, and apparently so did she. What a wild ride. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk r/IDontWorkHereLady. Hope your week is less fruity.
"Here's your pepperoni and mushroom, ma'am," I chirped, sliding the greasy cardboard box across the counter. My hand brushed against the police officer's badge as he stepped up, a bewildered expression on his face. Behind me, my dad was wrestling with the soda machine, trying to coax out a Diet Coke for another customer, while my mom was patiently explaining the menu specials she'd made up to a bewildered couple at a booth. The aroma of pepperoni and stale dough hung heavy in the air, a cruel mockery of the chaos unfolding. The officer blinked, looked at the growing line, then back at me. "Son," he said slowly, "are you working here?" Oh, if only he knew. I'm Kai and my family, bless their lower middle class, always help out hearts, had just inadvertently taken over a local pizza parlor, and boy were we about to pay for it. It all started an hour or so earlier, on a sleepy Sunday afternoon. We were going for our usual weekly treat, pizza, my folks. A night shift creamery worker dad and a community active housewife mom weren't rich, but they always made sure we had enough. Me, I had a paper route, every penny counting. So when we walked into our favorite pizza joint and found it utterly, completely deserted, alarms started going off. No employees, not a soul behind the counter, no sizzling sounds from the kitchen, just the hum of the fridge and the faint smell of yesterday's garlic knots. The door was unlocked, the lights were on, but it was like a ghost town. My parents, practical folks, figured something was genuinely wrong. "This isn't right," Mom said, her brow furrowed. "What if someone broke in, or worse, what if there's an emergency?" So, we did what any sensible, slightly too helpful family would do. We called the non-emergency police number. The dispatcher sounded unimpressed, downgrading it to a low-priority call, but we insisted, there's a pizza place open for business with no one to run it. That's a situation, right? We settled into a booth waiting, and that's when the first cracks in our good deed started to appear. Another couple walked in. They looked around, just as confused as we were. "Hello," the woman called out. "Anyone working here?" "My dad, Ever," the peacekeeper gestured vaguely. "We called the police. They're on their way. Seems like no one's around." The couple exchanged glances. "Well, we're hungry," the man grumbled. "What kind of pizza do you guys have?" And that's where our family's fatal flaw kicked in. We were raised to pitch in to never leave a problem unsolved, especially if it involved hungry people and perfectly good pizza just sitting there. Before we knew it, my mom was grabbing a stack of laminated menus from a vacant table. "They have a great pepperoni," she offered, already in full customer service mode. "And their Supreme is really good too." My dad, God love him, was behind the counter, trying to figure out the POS system. He ended up just writing their order on a napkin. And me? I was in the kitchen figuring out the ovens. I'd never made a pizza in my life, but how hard could it be? Preheat, slide, wait, pull. We were a well-oiled, entirely unpaid volunteer pizza crew. By the time the first police officer finally arrived, the parlor wasn't empty anymore. It was half full. Customers had trickled in, seen us working, and assumed we were just short-handed. We had just finished delivering a Hawaiian pizza to table 3 when the officer walked in, looking utterly baffled. He saw my dad ringing up an imaginary sale, my mom chatting up a new arrival about the best dipping sauces, and me, a scrawny kid, wiping down a counter with a damp rag. He found us, and the original couple we'd served and about 5 other tables happily munching on pizzas we'd pulled from the oven. "So, you called about an empty establishment?" the officer asked, looking at the bustling scene. "It was empty," I insisted, gesturing wildly. "We just started helping when people came in." He radioed in, clearly as confused as we were. A lead officer arrived soon after, taking one look at the scene and shaking his head. "Why did you call in a report about an unattended business?" he asked the first officer. "This place is practically full." "We don't work here," I finally blurted out, loud enough for everyone to hear. "None of us do. We were just trying to help." A hush fell over the room. The original couple looked mortified. The other customers stared at us, their pizza slices halfway to their mouths. It took some serious detective work, but the police managed to track down the owner. The manager, a beefy guy with a permanent scowl, stormed in a few minutes later, his face purple with rage. He took one look at us, then at the half-eaten pizzas, and pointed a trembling finger. You're stealing from my establishment. This is theft of company property." "Hold on a minute." The first officer intervened, stepping between us and the furious manager. He calmly explained the situation, how we'd found the place empty, called them, and then in our misguided attempt to help, had accidentally started running the place. The manager's fury deflated slightly, replaced by a deep, seething resentment. It turned out his assistant manager had quit earlier that day in a huff, and just left the place open and unattended. No note, no nothing. He still wasn't happy, not with us anyway. He started shouting into his phone, contacting his actual staff, demanding they get to work immediately. The officer, trying to mediate, suggested to the manager that while our actions were unorthodox, we had acted with good intentions. The manager just scoffed, glaring at us. In the end, we paid for every single pizza and drink consumed during our impromptu shift, even the ones we'd served to other customers. We were informed, in no uncertain terms, that we were permanently banned from the pizza parlor. For life. My family, the ones who always tried to lend a helping hand, ended up being labeled as trouble. We tried to help, sure. We just ended up in a whole lot of delicious, cheesy trouble. So yeah, next time you see an empty pizza parlor, maybe just call the police and wait outside. Trust me on this one.
Click here for another great one, you won't regret it.